Yeah, sorry. Nobody else in the waiting room at the moment, so you can start if you want to. Yep.
Okay. Amândio, can you hear us now?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Not like I would like, but it's like
It's possible.
okay.
Okay. So welcome everyone. I'm very happy to be here presenting Amândio Figueiredo. Sorry about this 4 minutes late. We have some technical issues, but everything is working now. Amândio Figueiredo is practicing yoga since the 60s. So he was one of the pioneers of yoga in Portugal and even in Europe. He starts his studies, he starts teaching yoga later, and also he teaches not only yoga but other martial arts like Aikido and Teishi Tesen. The studies of these arts he learned from Jorge Stobart here in Portugal. He is the director of the Department of Ayurveda and Yoga Therapy of the Portuguese Yoga Federation. And Amândio Figueiredo also was the founder of our Portuguese Yoga Federation, and among others federations and associations that Amândio has been the starting point. He is also a senior teacher of our TTP, our training course of teachers, and also one of the teachers of the Ayurvedic training course. So we are here to listen Amândio Figueiredo, and I will ask him to start. Thank you.
It's my turn.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. I have to thank the invitation from the European Yoga Federation and the Portuguese Yoga Federation and the kind words that Joanna introduced me. And this is a very interesting theme to talk about. Of course, if you know about spirituality, it was easy to say, it's easy. But when we can do together Ayurveda and yoga in the spirituality way, is not easy to define or to determine that this is the way, the easy way. This is not an easy way. I have some PowerPoint to share if it is possible. I'm gonna try it. Can you see? Thank you. Yes. Well, once the great daughter of Mahatma Gandhi was here in Portugal some years ago before the pandemic, and I'm sorry for my English and for my Sanskrit. And if you don't understand something, please interrupt me and ask me what you want. She was here and to make a conference in the foundation called Gulbenkian about no violence, about spirituality. And the last question that someone put her, it was another director of the Champagne Foundation, is connected with the health and is an investigator, asked her, if her great father was alive and came to the earth and see how the earth is now, how the human beings are now doing to the planet, what he recommends. And she said, the silence. because before we discussed about the spirituality. First of all, when I do something about spirituality, we have the same Latin word that came from Sanskrit, that is spiritum, from Latin, that came to respiration. It gives the word respiration and spirituality in Latin. That is our origin of both ways to live.
Sorry to interrupt, Amândio. Should we be seeing simply the title at the moment? Is that correct? We're just seeing
Can you see spirituality is maybe in silence?
That's all we meant to see at the moment. That's
yeah. It's just that, because I do the introduction of the. Now I start.
That's great. No, just checking that we're seeing the right things. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. I start with the Bhagavad Gita because sometimes we have the idea that to be in silence and to be quiet and to be only what we can talk about meditation is the only way to found spirituality. And I think that spirituality is not the same for everybody, because we are different, and we know that we have our karma and we have our way to be in life and with the others. This is an introduction that I think that everybody knows about the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna said, your prize, O Krishna, the renunciation, samyasin, of action, and then again yoga. Which one is the better of these two? Tell me for certain. And Krishna said to Arjuna, renunciation and karma yoga both lead to the greatest fortune, but of the two, the karma yoga is better than man renunciation of action. I saw this because this is in Sanskrit, because some people still think that when we are in action, we are not in spirituality living. And someone think that when we are quiet and maybe in meditation, maybe in lot or something like that, that's the way to the spirituality. As I think, and I tell to the people who work with me in yoga and in Ayurveda, I say, the best way that you can find the spirituality way is in the worst moments that you can, when you live, in the difficulty that we have, and then the action that you don't think about and don't you want to be recompensed of anything, then you see that the spirituality is inside of you. To be health or not to be health, you know this, when Nietzsche wept in a consultation with one of the pioneers of the psychoanalysis, Dr. Brouwer, Nietzsche argued, my illness belongs to the domain of my body, but the illness is not me. I am my illness and my body, but these are not me. Both need to be overcome, if not physically, at least metaphysically. We know that the problem of the Earth, the planet, is a big challenge for us. And if you can do something, even spirituality, we have to be careful with the planet that we are living. And our steps to the everyday must be with the fit of to know that the planet, we must be careful with the planet. And so Mahatma Gandhi said, if you want to change the world, start with yourself. everybody knows about the Samkhya, and this both Ayurveda and yoga has the same philosophic theory base, is the Samkhya. And if we want to go to ourselves, to the Purusha, to the Brahman, to the quality of life, we must understand that we are one, and we are just one little part of the universe. But we have a lot of things that distinguish each other from the others. And when we are doing yoga, even meditation, quiet, and even working, there are ourselves, there are the hamkara, that with the age have the quality to know the difference between our teenager and now with some age. We have something that is connected more and more open with all life that we knew, all life that we breathe, after all. Well, why this is important? Here, the Pancha Mahabhutas, they are in Portuguese, but I can translate, and you know, this is the base of all the works in the Vedas, that there are the most important reference of the all Oriental knowledge, especially from India, because India had influenced China, Japan, Vietnam, all in the east of the reference of maybe the studies that we can do by David Frawley, the other, Furstein, and we see also the Merciliad. We can see that the origin of the old knowledge and the first things that was written by human hand, it was the Vedas. And the Vedas explain, as you know, what we are living here, and to make us understand in the darshanas, the 6 darshanas, which can we understand why we are here with Jivatman, with our little soul, to get moksha, to get liberation, and go to the Mahatma, Mahatma, the big soul in the universe. So they have to codify the way that we can understand by ours Jnanendriya, the knowledge that the 5 senses that we have, and the actions that we do by Karmendriya, and the potentiality that is very important, that is the Tanmatras, who has the base to understand the 5 elements that are in all Orient, the elements that we know by Bhutas. When you say Bhutas, we are not seeing fire, ether, earth, water only. We are seeing that the manifestation of the subatomic movement of the elements give us as 5 potentiality to that we can understand and live in our lives, in our sensitive lives. And the connection with Jnanendriya, Karmendriya, and Tanmatras has our manas. And usually that when we say these Mahabhutas, and in Ayurveda, I think that you know, when we put together two, ether and earth, we have one classification of the human being that is called Vata. When we have together fire and water, we have a kind of manifestation in our Ahamkara called Pitta. And when we have the domination of water and earth, we have the persons with the bio-moral classification as Kapha. All that parts that we can live are in all of us as Vata, as Kapha, and as Pitta, but maybe one or two have more of these doshas, have more manifestation in our actions, in our feelings, in our thinkings, and that's the difference that came from maybe the tanmatras, that the way that in yoga we go by the working of meditation, and in Ayurveda we go by the health of each person, not to be healed, but be with good health. That's the way that, as in Samkhya, as in Purusha, we can understand. I like this very much, this sutra of Patanjali that starts in the second pada, the Sadhana pada, that says, Tapas Vadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana Kriya Yoga. This is the commentary of Taimini says something interesting that I always say to the people. We can have a spirituality way, I think, by religion. Maybe someone discovered what is spirituality in ourselves and with the others, maybe in a dangerous situation. Even the professional way that they can be, they are in samyama sometimes. We can see someone works with the shoes or works with the trees, that they have one capacity of concentration, that they are in dharana and they are in dhyana. I knew some people like that, not only in yoga, and they feel that they are connected with something superior, like as we know in yoga, Ishvara Pranidhana. But the question in yoga, as in Ayurveda, is that if we want to go to the steps of liberty, of the Purushastras that we have, you have to show us to do it in yoga as in the way of Ayurveda. And Taimini says in this tapas vadhyaya, austerity, self-study, and surrenders to Ishvara constitute the preliminary of yoga. And he said something interesting in this commentary. The outlook of the life of the common worldly man and on the life which yoga is required to live is so great, then a sudden change from one to the other is not possible. And if attempted, may produce a violent reaction in the mind of the aspirant, hurling him back to the mundane life with even greater force. This is in the Science of Yoga by Taimini, and this is from the Brazilian edition. And now in the Sutra of the third pada, Siddhik pada, we have something that, after all, you know, of the 196 sutras of Patanjali, and I put there 43 and 45 because I have more than two interpretation of the sutras of Patanjali, and one has this sutra as 43, and I have to study that, and the other one as 45. But the text is the same, and I have to study that. I discovered it a few days ago when I was preparing this. Stula Svarupa Sukshman Vyarta Tattva Samyamada Bhuta Jaya. By Samyama, on the gross stula, the substantive svarupa, the astral sukshman conjunction anvaya, and purposefulness artavatva is obtained mastery over the elements, the bhutas. So what this can be connected with the spiritual life? I don't remember the name now, but there are one movement, modern movement, to the youth that in the Ayurveda is called Rasayana. Everybody makes something in the face to be younger and so on. And in this this connection, the part of the thing that is connected with the Bhutas, the Ayurveda, and the spirituality way is that connection with the Bhutas that are inside of each thing that we eat or in each thing that we drink, or more than that, that we know the things that we breathe. So that's why spirituality and respiration came from the same words. And this is, as we know, a scientific way codified by Patanjali in the sutras. What happens when we put together this Ishvara Pranidhana? Okay, we can have any profession, but if we do everything we choose to be studying yoga or philosophy of yoga, we know that everything that we do, especially when we are eating or drinking, is something that's going to influence our lives in that way of spirituality. And the Bhutas are everywhere. Usually, I give this example. I have an apple to eat, and I am hungry, suppose, and the apple is near me, and the apple, if I don't eat the apple, his hand finished not to be the way that the apple is to be heated, to be that the Mahabhutas that are in the apple come to connect and be invigorated my Bhutas that are working in me. So my manas, we know all the Annamaya Kosha, the koshas, the 5 koshas, Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manas, Jnana, and Anandamaya Kosha. We know that we are that evolution, that constitution. But here in the work, to be conscious, we have a consciousness of the spirituality is not only in me, is in the things, more easy to understand maybe, that I drink, that I eat, like the apple that I give on examples. But it is more interesting maybe the way that when we breathe, that the way that we know when we are breathing is one thing, and if we are breathing as pranayama, we know that pranayama have four steps. One is kumbhaka, and this kumbhaka goes to work maybe in our manas, especially first we know yama, niyama, asana, pranayama. And that samyama after pratyahara is the happening. If I have my studies of yoga and my practicals of yoga enough, maybe I'm talking with you in dharana, maybe dhyana, I don't know, because it's a state as we are evolving. There's like a child, then a young, then adult, then old person, that the states that we cannot change. So when we do yoga, we know to go to the spirituality, because it goes as we work and more, and connect everything that are around me, books and so on, that's the same thing to be in the way of spirituality. And this is the one point very important, because everything in life is this manifestation of Purusha, of Brahman, if you want, because it's the most atomic, subatomic elements that we have. We know that when we are, after doing some asanas, Surya Namaskar and so on, and we be quiet to the meditation part, maybe, I do so without sport, is the only thing that I have is the breath. And that it changed my mental and my way that something happens, especially only in this part of yoga and Ayurveda. And I do, as Joanna said, I do other studies in the same way that I do yoga, because they call Aikido. It's the way of harmony. And as I studied not violence, I have to this is the practice. And this is the only thing that is connected every time, is this spiritual way, and the change that we have, maybe the dreams too, that we have, that we can influence with the part of the Bhutas and the Ayurveda. We have the six flavors in the Ayurveda that go slowly, step by step, giving us the possibility of change the way by what we're eating. Another complementation of this work, Grahana Svarupash Maidvaidiya Tarvatva Samyamad Indriya Jaya. By Samyama, over the act, the substantive appearance, the egoism, the confusion, and the purposelessness of sensations comes mastery over them. As you know, the things that we do in Ayurveda when we are treating some person, we know these sutras too. Especially, I think that all practitioners of Ayurveda do yoga and study yoga, and so the sutras of Patanjali. We know that we have to do the people the possibility that they come to have the consciousness of the life that they take before and to be healed, and now with that we are with health, they have good in health, they have to change a little that, and that is a small change to the things that is one state of concentration. As you know, that this is the way called samyama, dharana, samadhi, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, samyama. So that's something that we found inside of ourselves, something that never change, and we be in every moment more consciousness of us. Because when we leave this body, this body is constituted by the Bhutas as potatoes and rice, as wine, as herbs, everything that we know, this goes again to the earth. But this both breathing, this spirituality that we have don't go. And if the things that we eat and we drink makes us change, makes our body change every time. My cells of today are not the same that 1 week ago. So I'm changing. The breathing, the respiration, the spirituality way must be the conscience that we have in Samyama in this point. And I put this reference because Patanjali put this in the first pada, called directly before he talks about a little about that, but in the third pada, he talks about the Bhutas and the consciousness that we have about the Bhutas, that usually is not to be too much talk that I know about the yoga teachers. this is one of they have a second one, a little more, little. But if we have something specific in Ayurveda, in yoga, we have to in Ayurveda. This is the Ayurvedic model of health. Obeisance be made to the Apurva idea. This is an introduction of the part of Sushruta Shamita, unique and parallel red physician who destroyed the living, no residue, all disease like raga, patience, desire, and so on, that are constantly associated, innate, and inherent with and spread throughout the body, giving rise to the Autsukya, anxiety, moa, disappointment, and arati, and anonymousness. The person desires of long life, which the means instrument for attaining dharma, that we know, the Purushastra, Artha and Shuka, happiness, must rest utmost faith in the teaching of Ayurveda and means yoga.
Sorry, Tim, I'm not sure if we are seeing the right presentation. In my screen, I have the older one.
Sorry.
Maybe you freeze the...
Yeah. I have to. You know, you got it?
Not yet.
Well, I'm going to see. I'm going to start again. A moment, because he's not here. Let me see. This is a good way, but okay. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you. No problem.
Okay, thank you, Joanna. I'm talking about this Ayurvedic health model. It was some, this is like this. There are several regimes, routines originating from Ayurveda, which are based on the various phases. We see the day Dinacharya is called Dinacharya, at night Ratricharya or Ritrucharya, sometimes it happens like seasonal Ritucharya, and ethical Shatvrita. So as we have some orientations very important in yoga, there are a lot in Ayurveda, there are a lot of this orientation that we have to do to the people, to each one of us, that not to be healed, but to be with health, to be with Rojas, that we call the force of life, and to as they have the doshas, with the doshas that is correspondent, we tell each person, even the time to do yoga, the asanas, the pranayama, breathing exercise, and then slowly, step by step, maybe later come back and so on. But as to how time to sleep and the meals that we must have with the seasonal epoch, and in summer, in winter, we have to define always with the spirituality orientation what is the life for each person. And of course, the ethical way is one that everywhere is in the beginning, yama and niyama. It was, I think, Hayush Kamya Adhyaya. Everybody wants to live a long life wish. And this is correct, because if more years we have to live, our karma says so, more than we have not to have a reincarnation and to get moksha in these moments in life, in this present life. So that was the thing that I was reading. Obeisance be made to the Purva Vaidya, unique unparalleled great physician. This is from the Sushruta Shamhita. It refers to the most principal orientation of the books in Ayurveda, the Briyat Traidiya, Sharaka Shamhita, Sushruta Shamhita, and Astanga Hridaya. And he says that he destroyed all the problems of health, living with the hill, we live in Grisud, that the hill can give us raga, passion, associated with innate inherent, with the spread throughout the body, that we know that are Shrotams, that are the meridians, the channels that the energy, the prana goes, and in Ayurveda we have to control these Shrotams, that the way that they are, and give us to all the problems that we have, because if we hit something, our mind and our manas is nutrited by that things that we eat or drink, and we can change our emotional way to be, our happy way to be, as what we eat and how the way we eat and when we eat or drink is. Mood's appointment, arati, unionsiness. The person desirous of long life, which it is the means instrument for attaining dharma, purushastras, artha, and shuka, must rest utmost faith in the teaching of Ayurveda, and I say yoga too. So that's the thing that, for the instance, that I have to share with you. And if you want to put some questions, and maybe what is the kind of spirituality maybe you think that is with the Ayurveda and yoga, because it's not easy, I think.
Maybe I can ask something. You start, in the beginning, remembering us that spirituality in the present moment is in silence. And you also quote Gandhi, saying that we must be the change we want to see in the world. So can you give us some kind of advice that we can put in practical in these days, now that we are dealing with some very, very big problems in climatic matters?
I think that the only thing is maybe that the work in yoga and Ayurveda can be parallel with the work in yoga. But nowadays, I think that it's very important that the governments can put the yoga in a way that it can be given and studied as a science, that it results in the work of each of us. You know that I do yoga every day, more than 50 years, every day, and a lot of hours, not only for me, and I give yoga classes. And I saw I found maybe thousands and thousands of people, maybe hundreds of people that is still working with yoga. And the problem that I put in the beginning, that yoga can be not good for the persons, that I knew suicide, I knew some people who want to, who goes to drugs, and because they want the nirvana quickly in yoga. And the yoga in me, I have made the African war. I know what is the actual war. I have been in the military hospital when I was young, 22, 23 years. Now I am close. I'm going to the 80s, and if the only thing that I am an action man, I am a karma yogi. In India, they give me the name of Yoga Shirumani. Yoga Shirumani Tinuji, they call me there because I'm in yoga. Shiro, Manas, Shiro, head, and Manas is always in yoga. And yoga, I like yoga, I study yoga. I'm always studying yoga and philosophy, and I see that yoga is a work that must be a discipline for be teaching as science in everywhere. Last Sunday, Portuguese Yoga Federation make one journeys of yoga, and one of the persons that was there, it was a doctor, a young doctor. Now he is healed, and with a bacteria that I think he takes somewhere. He's from the no Médicos Sem Fronteiras, no
borders. Doctors Without Borders.
Yeah, and he's he has been in Africa and Palestine, and he described his life, young life. He has maybe 40 years, and he described his life like, and I said to him, you are not a yogi. He knows yoga. He always, and I said to him, he always said, but it must be confirmed by science. Yet I said, but let the yoga work with science way. And not all yoga, because all science, we know that when something that is discovered today, tomorrow is not correct, but yoga is the same as thousands and thousands of years, so that we prove that it works. But he said, he has been helping people not want money, cry with people because he want to help and couldn't help because he had not the ways to do that. And he do that with all his heart. And I said, you are not a yogi, but and he do some exercise of yoga because the vertebral column, and to put it correct, that we call Hatha yoga, but Hatha yoga is not physical only. We know the Hatha, it means difference. And I tell him, you may be, as we know, some people, you may be not a yogi, but in your action, you do karma yoga, bhakti yoga, and jnana yoga at the same time. And that's the examples that I see the spiritual the spirituality in these people, maybe they have not conscious of that, maybe he can have, but when he talks, it was no more my ears that it was no more my external indriyas that was listen him, it was my heart. And so that's why I think that yoga can help the people to be a study and not be only to advise and do this position like that or this breathing like that, is to put the yoga in day-by-day life. And if it doesn't work, why it doesn't work? And the person must do and study and do that again. Practice karma yoga, karma in action is the only thing that I think that it can work and can save the humanity. So some week ago, I dinner with an Indian doctor here in Lisbon, and I was in Germany a few weeks ago too in the meeting of yoga too, and everybody there asks what can it happens to what can the problem in the earth that we can do it for the people, not only us that we do yoga every day. Everybody says the planet is in danger. If we want to do yoga, to have yoga in our planet, we have to be to know how yoga can put persons, put the people correct in his heart, in his mind, and his physical, if you want, and that is the spiritual way. I think that to be spiritual, we have to understand our body, our mind, and our psychology, our emotional way. Maybe that we can go to understand the spirituality and be in the world correct. I said that Martin Luther King said he had a dream. Mahatma Gandhi said what he says about the changing ourselves, and Louis Armstrong's song, what a wonderful way, but this now is very difficult to put out. Mandela was in silence 27 years in one room, 27 years in one room in silence, Nelson Mandela. So we have some examples, not only for the old texts and the gurus that we know, but we have here in our Occidental living some examples that we can, but what they can do. Santa Teresa d'Avila, we knew this, St. John of Cross, we knew some ones, what they was connected to the religion, religare, religions means yoga. So to the people, I have no religions. I like to study religion, but I have no religion. And what can we put step by step, giving the people the things that don't be, that to be connected in harmony and in love, especially to this world. When we found universal world, that's not easy because everybody is not so easy to be Buddha or Christ. But we have to, the way that we can found, that we can give to the people, doing the difficult way, that I think that is yoga. Thank you.
Is there any question? You can share it on the chat, or you can unmute your micro.
Thank you, Manuel. You see, when I do some yoga classics of Ayurveda, of asanas that usually the people want, when I say some orientations to the people, I'm not correcting her physically. I know that I'm moving the dhatus, that are the systems that inside of the person. where they put the leg, where they put, you know that the asanas in yoga is to be quiet, stop the hands and the legs, the arms and the legs. Then we have the vertebral column to work, and then we have the breath. And when I say to the people to do like this, more attention to thoracic breathing, more attention to the diaphragmatic breathing, I'm not correcting the position to be good for the magazines, but I'm doing that because I know what the nostrils are breathing in that way, what the influence that can give Idem Pingala to Sushumna with the central. And I'm correcting, I'm just orientating the person to the spiritual life that maybe can be, that the person can have, because I know that when people come to the class, I see, oh, it's a Pitta, oh, it's a Kapha, oh, it's a Vata coming to the, and in the same class, I have Pitta, Vata, Kapha, young people, old people, and to do the same thing, what can I don't go to touch. I just said, breathing, think about your left breathing, your left nostril. Think about your verticality of the nose between your eyes. Just little points that not for the position, because I'm working in the, you know, there are 7 tissues in the and systems in the Ayurveda. So when we are moving the position, we are working mamsa. It's the muscle, the blood circulation, which is the second one, is the rakta. In the first way, the rasa. And if one of that tissues is not working well, every other tissues are not going well. Maybe the person, when he finished the class, thank you, Tin, it was so good. Thank you, Professor, this was so good. I'm feeling well. I came with my hair like this and came with a problem too. And now I'm good. This is, well, you are good now, but in 20 minutes, you are no more good if you don't continue to do yoga. Because it's the same thing when you want to eat. You are hungry, you eat, and you will feel well because you eat. Few hours later, you need to eat again. So this feeling that you have is a little point, a spiritual little point in yoga, that you must do this to go today, tomorrow, every day. We have to do this, not thinking of you, but thinking in the feelings that you have and the change that yoga give us the way of we are here. Thank you.
Joanna,
the books.
The question in the chat, I don't know if you want to.
No, the books are in Portuguese, but I have, my sister is a German teacher. I can ask her to translate. Maybe I have to. In English, there are people interested in French too, and thank you for if I can do it in German, of course. So they are small one because there are so much books important. I think that about to see, because in Portugal we have allowed that the alternative medicines are as a being, as to be a one person can choose if you want to be in the allopathic way and if you want to be with a naturopathy, phytotherapy, Ayurveda too. So that's to like that Ayurveda is one alternative medicine in Portugal. In March, we're going to have here one World Congress of Yoga and Ayurveda here in Lisbon. But you can see in the announced by the Portuguese Yoga Federation, because in one organizing that. I think, I don't know, because we don't meet together all the time. I don't know if I could put the difficulty of is to explain spirituality, but Ayurveda as yoga as that way, the same scientific way, maybe a little more exigent because we have to prepare the food to eat. That's the only thing that we have to be, that because when one person comes to do a yoga class, he just stay, put in Savasana, but when he's to eat and to do the spiritual way by eating, It's a little more difficult, but it works. It helps in the spiritual way.
You were talking there about the different Ayurvedic constitutions, the students that you have in your classes, the Vata students, the Pitta students, the Kapha students, and how you give them maybe a slightly different focus or a slightly different practice, if I understood you. And I was just wondering, would you also then give them different spiritual practices? And if so, how would they be different?
Yes, yes, of course, because we know that when we give to a Vata or a Pitta or a Kapha work after the asanas, the way to breathe, we must be the accounts that they can have in the Kapha. I can say to the Kapha to do the inspiration more quickly, and then the expiration, and I tell them. A Pitta, the contrary, I say to the people, you do your breathing slowly, because you must refresh the mind, because Pitta is fire, and I can do that. But when I prepare that in the asanas, I do. Sometimes I have a sequence to do in the class, and then I see some Pitta comes very excited and so on. Whoa, I have to change my class. Not if I'm going to do this. It was for a Vata and Kapha, more Pitta class. I can do that because that person going to change. Then I change the time to breathe with the right nostril, left nostril, maybe or not with the bandhas, which bandha is going to work there. And I can teach the person with the names. You can do the Uddiyana Bandha, you do Mula Bandha, you do this. Then when you are in Kumbhak, you stay just a few seconds, don't try to compete to be half an hour without breathing, something like that. And so I have everything to, when I saw that is if it works is when they do Savasana between the asanas or between the breathing, or the way they are changing during the class. Did you understand? Thank you. And I always asking the person how they feel in each class, some class. And now we have a problem with some other activities that are copying the yoga, that do press the same thing, stretching, and then after stretching, some kinds of breathing. And I said, this is not yoga. Yoga is a one way with 8 steps to do. So if you are doing that with the gymnastic, you do the gymnastic as that they are. But yoga has the responsibility of a teacher of yoga or Ayurveda is to do the person to be in samyama. After pranayama, pratyahara, then it not in tomorrow, after tomorrow, maybe in 1, 2, 5, 10 years, maybe, as we have in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, they said 5 to 7 years that yoga is installed in our bodies, in our mind. Then we start doing, after all that shatkarmas and so on, and then we have samyama, then we have the meditation state. Doing what we are doing that in meditation state. You are crying, you are dancing, you are lying it, and so you are seeing a movie, you are seeing what you are, a concert, what you are doing. Meditation is if we do yoga, meditation is the state that we hear, cry, lying, and so on. That's a science. So that's, I think, later, I said the persons, later, more later possible, the silence is recognized. The silence that are in you is not silence, but is recognized inside of you. I think that's the spiritual way in the little experience that I have about the silence and maybe the meditation because I do it without sport. Because if I have a support doing a meditation, and I'm sorry to do, I have, for my experience, not because I knew a lot of people who do meditation with sport. Most of the people I knew have some support. Without meditation, I have not the same cerebral movements to have. I have not the same breathing that I have, because I think my meditation, I'm not here, I'm not there, I am not. And it takes a time that I have to be free to give the meditation space. And when I return of the meditation without sport, I feel something. I feel the way, the difference, but I think that's something that is for each person, not to do, you're gonna think about that like I am thinking. No, even in the classes that I usually give, I think that the meditation is what you are feeling and what you are disconnecting of you feel when you start the class, because I have no authorization to work in your mind, except in Ayurveda and if you are healed. But in the normal classes, if you have some problems, you see that yoga can help with the problems, not running away from the problem, but not do affected by the problem. Karma yoga. You have action you have to do, and then you don't have to take anything. Aparigraha, I think, about that. Because I do it for, not for yogis, I do it for every person who comes. I don't know if they are Christian, Muslim, Judeans, if they are vegetarian or not. I have that class on, inside of me, 20 people to do yoga at the same time, different people. And I say yoga is a science, it works, even person different are here. And until today, I don't have an answer that, yoga is not good. Never I have that. Not me. The yoga, that is the same that I try to do as 5,000 years ago. I study, I do, and be careful. That's why I do connection with Ayurveda and yoga. In the Ayurveda come to help me a lot in the classes. Later we can study, later we can do a lot of things. We have the Upanishads to study. We have a lot of beautiful things that come from the India that are very, very, very good for us, that we lose here in the Occident. The spiritual way that all we want to do. But first, I think that there are one thing that I told the people before the spirituality, that the person must feel the sacred inside of her. Spirituality and sacred, all we have. Religion, someone can choose what they want. But to be sacred and then the spirituality, we can find that. We can be conscious of that. You can do some critical things because I have to do next time better than this one, maybe change something that it can be. But I thank very much to European Yoga Federation, Union, and Portuguese Yoga Federation for this opportunity. It's more easy to explain one asana with yoga and Ayurveda than to explain the spirituality way. But an asana has a spiritual way. We have a philosopher here in Portugal that is called José Gil. He do yoga, he knew a lot of yoga, and maybe 20 years ago, he's a philosopher, he's a very new philosopher. He have a lot of of books, and he studied the body when he was younger. He was a professor in France, and he do yoga with a musician that he knew well, inspired in Japan. He was an organ composer, very new French. Maybe that can be the name. They lot the profound yoga about meditation only, the mind thinking. And I asked him one day to do an article to the magazine that we have in the Portuguese Yoga Federation. And he said to me, I thank you, but I don't do that until that I know why the asanas has the same way, there's the same name. After all these years, we do Sarvangasana 5,000 years ago. We do Bhushangasana 5,000 years ago. There are not the Sarvangasana style 21st century. It's the same. You want to know why is the Matsyasana. And then he goes always to see, but this is always connected with something sacred. This is always connected with why is the Vrikasana tree, what is the name of the tree, why, and then it's because it's the connection with the earth. More than 20 years ago, he told me that. It's connected with the earth, with the animals, and then has here in the planet, in the earth. Then it comes the mind, then it comes the breathing, then it comes the rest. He never wrote the article, but he explained that why. Then later, when we found him, he told them, you see, all this, if you go to study, everything in this connection with yoga goes to something sacred, some gods, and they have a transmission of the same culture. 5,000. Most of the people don't know to write or to read in India. And what they discover that they have to, but this is from Vishnu, this is from Shiva, this is from that and that and that. Billions and millions of the gods, they have to justify one thing, that is, you are here in earth, you must find something to be the liberation. Then they have the darshanas, they have created, but goes to that place and that thing that we can study and feel that when we can stay in Bhushangasana, in the snake position. Why is the snake position? I'm not a snake, but then when we scan the why is the snake, and we see that we have to do the position, the asana, more and more time, that when we can spend our being to be other being and to understand all beings in the earth. I think that's my way to be understanding the people and to see explain why this is not a flick flack of the gymnasium Olympics, something like that, but this Bhushangasana, all time. And the pranayama too. Either Pingala, they don't change the name, they don't change, something is the same. And the science and the medicine is now connecting with that. We know that there are in Swami Rama in India, in California, he changed the work in the pneumonia hospital when he stays a lot of time without breathing. And then it's in his biography of Swami Rama. One of the others, we know that the yogis can stay without breathing a lot of time and time, hours and hours. And they are the beings like us. Why they can't and we don't? We see the Tugmo in Tibet, the yogis Tugmo, they have a work with the house, very interesting. Well, that's my spirituality. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Of course, Suzanne.
So, like you said before, Ayurveda is very strongly connected to the food we eat and also to the rhythms of the season, of the day, of the night, and all this, and also probably to the region or where the the country where you are born and where you live in. So would you say also then that you have to, if you don't adjust the asanas or the practice of yoga, that you could adjust the practice of Ayurveda or the way you practice Ayurveda, like for example, India is very different from Western Europe with the day start when the sun goes up or down, or the food we have. And so would you rather still stay very much close to the Indian tradition, or would you say, well, it is possible to adjust?
Yeah,
Also,
I think, thank you. I think that is, we have to, you are here in Europe, you have to do the things that are in Europe, in the place that you are living. What we have from the Indian way is, I think, is the scientific way that it works. I can't, Brahmi, there are not here, so but it is a global way nowadays. I have not Brahmi here, we have the Asiatic Center as the same, but I can use the seeds of the India here, and the time is the same. I have not to do as the same that they are in India. They are very exigent in the Sushruta Shamita with the things that you take if you are healed. If you are not healed, you have your dinacharya, your ritucharya. You can have it like some. I do every day. I take Brahmi. Sometimes I take. Triphala, then I take something that it comes from India, but in my meals, with my time, and the effects are, your dosha, your biohumoral the same here, or is the same in India. We don't change our dosha when we change the place in the planet. Maybe with that, now we are a kapha moment here, and maybe if you go to India, we have pitta time there. The only thing that you have to change is the way to eat. What you are eating in India, if you go there now, and what we are eating here, that we are in Europe, and we have to eat something warm. I think that Carl Jung said, he studied as one of my psychoanalysts that I like to do in the courses of the Ayurveda and the yoga teachers. Jung studied a lot of yoga. He has the books. And he has one of his books about the spirituality. He said that in Europe, we have to create, not create, but to transfer for Europe, yoga in Europe and yoga in India, because we don't have the same educational evolution that they have in India. In India, to talk about the samskaras is part of the everyday life, and here now is we have to do the transfer. To put something, what is samskara in India, what gonna explain here what is about the samskara. And I have to do that in Occidental language, that we can understand that. And then we have together, we can understand together India and the triangle human, the way that we are, man, the human body is represented by a triangle, the earth by a rectangle, and the universe by a circle. So we can put it together to do, okay, you have that way to explain the things, and we have this way. And we have not to change our culture, our education, maybe to do best with the things. They take the planes, they take the cars, they take the investigation, the electronics that was created here in the Occident. But they have not changed neither Shiva, neither Vishnu, neither Brahma. They stay as the same, but with the Occidental things. Because I think it's the best to respect this globalization of the knowledge and everything that we want to be in harmony with all. Did I answer? Thank you.
Is there any more question or comments?
Next time I do one class of practice yoga and explain this. It's better the practice. That's why karma is karma. Better than you are talking about that. Prove it. Now, do it. Next time I do a practical class and explain what is happening here, there, and there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Tino.
Thank you. Namaste.
And thank you, everyone.
Have a nice December, a nice Christmas, best wishes to 2023, and the war stops quickly. We must do that force, the Ukrainian war. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.